Good morning. This is the video for the second play in the Unicorn from Meyer. As I mentioned last week, he gives us the same initial setup and then he gives us some options. So if you remember from last week, we started the 3 upward slashes and 2 winging cuts to start this play, and then we counter cut and attack, and we did a cross arm false edge cut to the head. This is the option if they kind of chase us very aggressively. So let me read that to you and then we'll talk about it. So he starts with, or when you have thus crossed the short edge inward against his head with crossed hands so that you make your left side open, if he rapidly attacks to it, as I have said before, then keep your hands crosswise and withdraw your head from him well towards your right and shoot your blade right over his, the nearer to his shield the better, thus wrench his blade towards your left as you can see in image D in the small scene on the right. And when you come close to your left with this wrenching, then go up with your hands and strike back with the short edge in at his left ear, palm away from him. After this, come quickly with the long edge back onto his sword. Thus you stand at the long point, afterwards withdraw as you will. So just as a quick reminder, this has started with the upward slashes, 2, 3 to long point, we turn the little wheel, and we do this double winging cut, pick up and put down, and then when the opponent attacks the gap, we have step forward and we have cut. So up till now, it's exactly the same. What Meyer says is, if we're starting to attempt this back edge cross-armed attack at the head, as we start to lift, if we realize they're coming into us right away, we're going to fall onto their sword with our crossed arms. So we picked up to try to counterattack, and they're giving us a lot of pressure. They're cutting in on us, so we're going to fall down onto the sword, so we're trapping it here. From there, we're going to wrench it close to our left and throw this back edge cut with our palm facing us. So we started to back edge, we're going to fall down with the short edge and then cut up to the back edge, and then we come right back down onto long point because we still need to be worried about that counterattack. So the mental shorthand for this one is 1, 2, 3 slashes, turn the little wheel, double undercut, counter cut, start to pick up, fall down, back into the back edge cut, and then come back onto their sword with the long point. So this is not very different, but it is a good example of the what if. So we have to respond to what our opponent's doing. These aren't just magic spells where you do combination A and it always works. So when I'm practicing this one on the Pell, it starts out exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, double undercut, counter cut, and I will start my motion. So I will give a little shuffle, and I'll start the motion like I'm trying to attack with that false edge, and then I will cut down into the back edge. And then from here, because you're in this back edge with the palm facing you, it's pretty easy to just wrench right down onto their sword. 1, 2, 3, counter cut, start down, into the false edge, straight down. So not a lot of new material, but this gives us a good option if the opponent's pressing in very aggressively. So if I do this one more time with the camera, 1, 2, 3, 2 undercuts, counter cut, start, come down, wrench the back edge, drop down. And the way I like to do this, because this is a or a what if, is I'll practice the sequence twice so I can work both options. So I might 1, 2, 3, just like we saw last week, and then I'll go right into the next option. And just practice both. And if you are trying to practice both, you can just start from the unicorn position and go right into the counter cut. I think it's important to practice, be as dynamic with this as you can. So once you've gotten to this counter cut position, think that you are starting that initial back edge cut counter, start the motion, and then fall down. Because this is a kind of a reactive motion. You certainly can practice just the wrench, and that's the thing to practice, but in this particular case, we are starting a motion and then responding to what our opponent is doing, and we go into it. So it's a little bit of a situational drill as well, so I would practice both options treat this as a series, and we'll go with the next or next week.